Mention the name of William Shakespeare to students of English the whole world over, and you'll run an entire gauntlet of reactions, ranging from a glazed expression of complete indifference to abject misery and unmitigated terror. There are always the odd few who will be worryingly stimulated at the prospect of reading the great Bard of Avon's complete works, but for the majority, Shakespeare is consigned to the worthy list of all-time educational tortures, alongside algebra, Pythagoras, the Corn Laws, photosynthesis, physics in its entirety, and the poetry of Ezra Pound. But this is unjust indeed, because most preconceived notions concerning William Shakespeare are, to say the least, unfounded, resulting in the genius of the world's greatest ever dramatist being systematically overlooked due to ignorance and fear. When you're trying to get to grips with any literary giant, the subject must be approached from 3 points of perspective. Firstly, you have the work of your writer, the novels, plays or poems printed in black and white for you to read and experience for yourself. Secondly, you must set the author's work in context by discovering a little about the society in which your writer lived. This doesn't mean an in-depth history lesson. Far from it. What you actually require is a snapshot of your writer's life and times. The dates and pertinent events on a national scale are helpful, but if you can get your hands on the great gossips and scandals of the day as well, particularly when the object of your study was involved, then so much the better. To complete your picture, you must lastly take a view of your writer's life, warts and all, and try to build a picture of their character, not only from the great literary words they have put down on paper for posterity, but also from diaries, letters, and personal effects as well. However, when it comes to William Shakespeare, this fine theory is very difficult to put into practice for several reasons. First and foremost, Shakespeare never intended that anyone should read his plays. They were created for performance on a stage. What you see before you on the page is not what young William had in mind at all. Line by line he presented his actors with the scripts for each play, which were duly performed and then often discarded. It took until 7 years after Shakespeare's death for 2 of his actor friends to collect together the plays and publish them as the First Folio of 1623. The intention of John Hemmings and Henry Condell had been to keep the memory of so worthy a friend and fellow worker alive, not, as you might belligerently assume, to inflict torture on the students of the future. Therefore, from the outset, make sure that you see the works of Shakespeare performed, whether live, on TV, or in film versions. It's the only way to truly appreciate what the author actually intended. When you set Shakespeare's work in context, you quickly realize just how far back in time you are travelling. Queen Elizabeth I was on the throne of England for much of Shakespeare's life, but he survived to see the end of the Tudors and the beginning of the Stuart line with the accession of King James I. Shakespeare's plays were popular with both monarchs and rural households, and Shakespeare really did enjoy significant celebrity status. The history of this period is well documented, but sadly the same cannot be said of William Shakespeare. When you want to delve into his character, life and times, the truth of the matter leaves you with very little concrete evidence to go on. By the age of 28, Shakespeare had started to appear in London, but up until then his baptism had been recorded in 1564, his marriage in 1582, and the births of his children in 1583 and 85, all in Stratford-upon-Avon. Nothing else about him, through these early years of his life, exists, and here's a great thing to boost your confidence. Of all the thousands of biographies and commentaries that you'll find on the bookshelves about Shakespeare, what
Sample complete. Ready to continue?